Alrighty. Hello, and welcome to the next confusing episode of Myths and Stories. Tonight, we will not be covering a trailer because it doesn't exist. Yeah. Instead, we will cover Lucent Tales from the Moths of Savathun's Throne World because we literally couldn't figure this out. And this was borderline last minute.
We were
We were
really
90%
banking
sure.
on some
Oh my
seasonal
god, we
info
really
before
were.
now.
Something. Bungie is killing it this time with the we ain't saying shit about shit. So yeah.
The only thing they have been saying pretty consistently amongst the various team members on Twitter and social media and whatnot is just how excited they are and how awesome this next season is going to be. So for their sake, because we know what this community can do with unreasonable expectations, I hope it truly is.
Like if it's not even like half, I'm scared, man. I'm scared.
I'm choosing to be optimistic though and be excited for it. And
I am doing
ready.
the same. I am excited for it as well. I'm scared, man. I'm scared. So yeah. So no trailer. No. We have a possible leak name for the season, which hasn't been confirmed. Everyone's tweeting season 17 is going to contain season 17 things with season 17 stuff, and that's like the extent that we are getting of info for the season. So we're gonna take it a little easier tonight, and we're gonna cover the Lucent Moths book. So the moths themselves are little collectibles that came out. I want to say was it 2 a week, Myth? When it?
Yeah, I think it was 2 a week.
I think it was 2 a week.
Yeah.
They're little moths that were collectible in certain areas in Savathun's Throne World. We're not going to go over like locations, and this isn't a guide. This is just every time you turned one in, you got a lore book entry with it, and the name of the lore book is the Lucent Tales, I believe. And so yeah, we're gonna Myth has such a lovely reading voice that I'm gonna let him read them, and then I'm gonna ask questions.
So, and say, much like I think anybody I've ever talked to, I personally hate the sound of my recorded voice.
It's so weird. Like I'm okay with mine, I think.
That's good. I know that there's it's because like it sounds so different to you than it does to everyone else that you're projecting it out to. I've heard even singers that will say like, yeah, obviously I make a living singing, but I still hate the sound of my voice recorded.
That's so weird.
Right. So
I never thought of it from like a singer or like an actor's point of view or something. There's got to be actors out there too that are like, yeah, that looks weird. I don't know what that is.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, we digress.
We digress a lot. I don't know why that was any different.
Tonight we're going to talk about the book Lucent Tales. And we're just going to dive right into it. So we're just going to go in order that the of the chapters of the book, which is going to start us off with the chapter titled Pikmin.
Well, before we dive in, I do want to go over the name of the triumph for it. Is God, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this word. This is a hard word. Myth and or Google, can you help me with this?
Which triumph are you looking at for collecting all of them?
For collecting all of them, it's like Leo. It starts with an L. Leo Scopentism. I might be making up a word right now.
So I do not have easy access to get to the triumphs.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get
the
easy access to it. Let's see here. Triumph for collecting moths. Aha. Fuck. Lepidopterist.
Okay. So Lepidopterist,
Lepidopterist.
which is a person who studies or collects butterflies and or moths, says Google.
And not like the Buffalo Bill from like Silence of the Lambs, where he's like, da da da. Yeah, no, we're not turning into moths. We're just collecting them.
Yeah.
Mitch was very afraid of where I was going with that. I kept that one very clean, thank you.
Surprisingly so.
Right?
So yeah,
So, book one.
Chapter 1 is titled Pikmin. A lot of these titles are, I think all of them actually are names. Names of a ghost, actually. And a lot of these are told from the perspective of a ghost. Talking about the Hive in from different viewpoints, and kind of gives us an idea of how some of these ghosts decided to be loyal to the Hive and provide the Hive with light and get us in this whole mess.
Edgelords. That's all they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Not all of them. Not all of them. So in this case, this ghost is presumably named Pikmin, and his chapter goes like this. You needn't resent my hesitation. Mine is a prejudice shared by many. Evolution's paintbrush cut within the Hive a terrible anatomy, rendered to elicit fear. They are loathsome things to look upon, after all. I speak not as some superstitious providential afraid of the dark, but as a ghost well versed in the language of suffering. Look at this one. They call him a knight, this sin putrefying upon a slab. Is it only brute strength that qualifies a knighthood now? I have little compassion for the universe's mockery upon chivalric ideals. In contrast, I call myself a creature of moral strength and sound reasoning, and as such, believe these traits allow me to judge so unforgivingly. But alas, I am also afflicted by a most curious and inquisitive nature. It is why, when my debased fellows departed to find unity with the Hive, I found myself compelled to witness their descent. Not to share in it, of course. I doubt we share anything more than a species and the dark urge we all undoubtedly feel. Yet as I watched them, I could not deceive myself into denying the elegance of pouring the light in all its multiplex glory into these avatars of terrible intricacy. It is a sinister geometry, but not without its beauty. Gazing on them with an eye unvarnished by niceties, one can see that a fiendish purity of purpose drives them. They spill confidence like a Venture drunk on his own reserves. Such a shame that this purity and confidence was leveled at the unforgivable Quintain striking at our great traveller and unravelling its works. I shudder at the ease with which my comrades ignore such basic logic. This is the Hive, disciples of that unholy church which laid our Creator low. They struck for its heart and shattered a roaring conflagration into 10,000 motes flickering in the wind. In their fervor, they played midwife of a sort to guardians, to ghosts, to me. Cause and effect. Legacy. Is this what my fellow ghosts see? Why it feels right? Then with their foundation of logic, what is my hesitance except some providential superstition? And that ends that card.
So there really isn't. I don't know, there's not like I guess you're right in saying like there's not a whole lot of like you know story or anything going on here. This is just a ghost, like, kind of contemplating, like, his, I don't want to say his own existence, but looking at this night and thinking, why should I? This are these ghosts part of that group of ghosts that were the inward thinking ghosts, the ones that were constantly like they would just lay about a place and they wouldn't talk, they don't talk at head height anymore, or do we know if these are the same ghosts?
I don't know if Pikmin, who's being talked about here, uh, specifically is. Presumably he is
He
guardianless.
sounds like he is, though.
And I think it was implied that a large number of those, kind of wandering ghosts, are or were drawn in to provide light to the Hive. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was part of that group. And it's interesting that he starts off with the idea of like, really, like, how can you guys not see that this is not something we should be doing? But he had that like morbid curiosity that wanted to watch the car crash, and couldn't look away, and come kind of doesn't convince himself necessarily, but comes to this conclusion of the only reason we exist is because the Hive, as part of the collapse, attacked the Traveler. So the Hive are in a way just as much our creators as the Traveler is. So maybe we owe them some amount of loyalty for that.
That's kind of a mind fuck.
So,
but it to me it did seem like he's trying to convince himself.
Right.
It's almost like I don't know if he was trying to convince himself or not, but it sounded like he's seeing this thing happen, like you were saying, like a car crash that you can't look away from, and now he's watching it and he's going, okay, well maybe I need to try this and see if I can make it do better, or I can do a better job than Joe Blow over there and Jeff number 3, because those are ghost names now.
Those are clearly those are ghost names.
Clearly.
Now this, some of these cards are a little more in depth. Some of them are going to explore. We'll have multiple cards around a single ghost and kind of the actions of that single ghost. So some of them get a little more into it. I think this being the first chapter is more a introduction to the kind of thoughts that we're going to be seeing these ghosts go through. It's going to be a lot of questioning coming from these ghosts of, what's right, what's wrong, what should I do, what can I do, and struggle with that in relation to granting the light to the Hive.
That's definitely what that felt like too. Like that's why I was curious if he was part of the group of ghosts that were those internal thinkers that questions, and because he seems like he's just kind of questioning, like they're very open-ended questions that he's discussing in this first card.
Yeah. And we get whereas Pikmin's view is a little more at least attempting to be the scientific observer, the one on the outside going like, what is making you do this? The next card, which is titled 303, is about a ghost that is very much feeling things that we could easily see pulling them away from resing a guardian of humanity and maybe finding more solace with the Hive. So this one, this chapter is just entitled 303, and it goes like this. 303 floated in the shadows as her modest flock of ghosts scanned the ruins. For centuries, they had combed through the long, dried spatter of a fallen world, each hoping to find their prize. She always watched, knowing she would never find what she needed, just as surely as they knew they would. A joyous chime pierced the air, and the little ghost's mood sank. It wasn't a sound she heard often, but she recognized the melody that heralded the shrinking of her group. Elle gestured across the tumble-down intersection, where Trill chirped hollow advice to a fawn-wobbly guardian as the others watched on. 303 turned away and grumbled. She supposed she could just ignore them, if they let her. 3, Paris bobbed, practically bouncing on her. 3, Trill's found her guardian. Come, congratulate her. Anger flared, white hot. Congratulate? Are you... You know what? Fine. 303 swiveled back toward the impromptu celebration and raised her voice. Hey, Trill, congrats on abandoning us all. 3. What? I'm so happy for her. I'm not resentful at all about our fanatical devotion to the dead humans, the species who couldn't stop the darkness the first time around. 3. This isn't the time. When is the time, Paris? When are we going to start asking questions? Why did we just arbitrarily decide to dedicate ourselves to these squishy creatures forever? They aren't fit to hold the light. 3. Can't you at least be happy for us? Trill's voice was soft. 3 didn't respond. This is the way we form a bigger family and serve a larger purpose. That's what it's all about. But maybe, if after all this time you still can't share that with us. Elle paused. She'd often come so close to saying this, but always backed down before. Then maybe you shouldn't search with us. 3 floated, letting the ultimatum settle. Fine. There was nothing more to be said after that. One by one, the rest drifted away, resuming their work. Elle hesitated for a moment. Goodbye, 3, she whispered. I do hope you find your family. 303 turned away to look up toward the night sky. The twinkling stars stared back like a million judging eyes. But she knew then, gazing at those quiet spaces between them, they were her family. That's the end of that card.
Man, ghosts are... Some of them could be kind of dickish.
Well, this is that questioning that we were talking about. You know, this is a ghost that has gone so very long, you know, hundreds of years at least, without finding their partner, to the point where they're bitter when other ghosts find their guardian. And
I found that amusing too. To have such a human emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to have this like,
and I guess it's not a human emotion. I guess it's I don't, because I mean like the Hive, obviously they can be bitter. Would you say that a higher sentience emotion, I guess?
Well, I mean, I kind of know what you're
we
going
equate
for.
it to human because that's all we have to compare it to.
Right.
In
right.
real life, you know, like.
But it is like up until this point, or I shouldn't say up until this point, but generally speaking, our interactions with ghosts in game have they've had, you know, personalities, and they've been happy and sad and upset about things, but they've always been on the same side.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
Even if
Kinda
they
like speaking with this, not quite speaking with the same voice, but speaking with the same intention, speaking with the same, you know, like, hey, look, a guardian, awesome. Let's raise this, you know, let's go on our journey to defend the light type thing. Whereas like this is the first time a ghost has been like, oh, fucking great, now we lost another one. This is bullshit.
Yeah, it's interesting, and to have a ghost openly question to a group of other ghosts that are not like-minded from the looks of it.
Yeah.
To say like, when are we going to start asking questions? Why did we just decide that we're going to dedicate ourselves to these, as she describes them, squishy creatures?
Yeah.
they aren't fit to hold the light. So this is a ghost
That's the one that got me.
This is a ghost that has deemed humanity is not worthy of the gift of the light. And it said at the beginning, 303 has already decided she will never find what she needs. She will never find her guardian because she doesn't think humanity is worth it.
Man, that's a big line of thought from a ghost. Like this is like, I don't know, man. This is bold. This is just this it. It's one of those things like, you know, it. I I really hesitate to draw parallels to current political situations, but I'm gonna do it. But no, it's like it's like we're doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, but we don't we're not getting a different results. And so this is the one being in the group saying, "Well, great, you picked another squishy thing. How's that working for us? Have we come any closer to whatever, whatever goal we don't even know what we're trying to achieve? Like, are we really defending the light, or are we just defending humanity now? Like, how are we going to make a forward progress in anything if we don't start asking those questions and making that change?" So yeah, that's a bold move, 303. It's funny because when you first said 303, my first thoughts was like, oh, well, somebody just called themselves Bob, and I was like, that's just lazy programming there. But now I kind of got a thing for 303.
There you go, 303, asking the tough questions.
Get in there and ask the tough questions, 303. You do you, boo.
But it would make a lot of sense for this ghost that's disillusioned from humanity. And actually, to make another point that specifically says, like, why are we giving our gifts to this race that's already lost once?
Yeah.
It would make a lot of sense for them to maybe be more open-minded towards the Hive, which have endured without the light and have, steamrolled every adversary they've come across until the Guardians.
Yeah.
And, from their point of view, that may look like the stronger species. That may look like the more worthy, worthy carrier of the light. So.
Yeah, that's sound reasoning.
So, moving on to the next chapter here. This chapter is entitled Krill. And this is an interesting one. Because we learn a little bit about these moths themselves that we're collecting and that pop out of enemies and try to explode on us in Grandmasters.
Oh, they don't try at all. They absolutely do.
They absolutely fly halfway across the map to one-shot you.
Yeah. Super fucking annoying.
So this one is entitled Krill. And it's
Overshield giving little shits.
And it is a intercepted log or transcript. And it starts like this. Type: private medical log. Parties: 1 ghost type. Designate: Krill. Associations: Light, Lucent Hive. Transcript follows. Ubartu Anna blames me. Naturally. He insisted on naming me Krill in our first exchange because he claims I am as small and useless as the weak pests that the Hive evolved from. Cruelty and suspicion are his nature, but it makes for a poor physician. Still, poison is a logical, if ignorant, hypothesis for the condition. Patients report various symptoms: mood swings, headache, insomnia. Prior symptom remains the growths. I hesitate to call them tumors, no sign of metastasization. One must be precise in terminology after all. After some clumsy exploratory surgery on my inner workings, Umbartuana seems content I am not some Trojan horse. Wouldn't that be ironic? Ghosts sent to reclaim the hive from death only to wipe them out by dispersing pathogenic specks rather than light. As I said before, ignorant. We've biopsied a dozen growths now, but there are no clear results. The masses within are primitive protoplasmic, little more than interstitial fluid and protolithic amino acids. Primordial soup, as the humans say. No sign of infection, but curiously, the lining of these cysts, for lack of a better term, seems to be saturated with immune cells. Further biopsies are needed. Some time passes. Wondrous development. Biopsy 37 has yielded aggressive results. I pierced a cyst to discover not fluid, but life. A winged arthropod attacked me, defending its host. Little of its body remained upon destruction, but it seems to be more energy construct than flesh. I plan to take the next specimen alive for vivisection. Confirmed. The winged arthropods, despite their energy structure, also contain hive cells. I theorize hive physiology, unaccustomed to light exposure, is attempting to isolate light energy like an infection. Light, structured as it is, organizes the discarded sebum within and forges it into imaginal cells, kickstarting a sort of homometabolism. Incredible. The hive's own bodies are transforming light into a parasite. What a wondrous adaptation. They are now commending Ubartuana for his discovery. Thus now I perceive the true poetry in my name. Everything about him of value comes from me. And there ends that card.
I'm just gonna say it. He popped a zit, and a fucking moth came out of it, and that is disgusting. Like, as you were reading that, I was like, bull, not handling that real well. No, that's kind of neat that it's like it even so. Okay, so I guess this is where I was confused. Is this a ghost named Krill?
This is a ghost who has been named Krill by his hive guardian.
And his hive guardian is a physician trying to figure out where these cysts are coming from.
So it sounds like his hive guardian, this Lucent Hive, has named his ghost Krill because he views his ghost as small and useless, which is what they think of themselves.
Fucking dick move, man. Like,
and yeah, it sounds like this.
Here I thought 303 and all of his buddies are kind of dickish. Fucking Hive are even more dickish. Screw these guys. I feel no remorse popping Hive heads off now and crushing Hive ghosts.
So it sounds like this Lucent Hive named Ubartuana is a physician, but as Krill says, he's very ignorant of anything that isn't just ways to kill people, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like he thinks the whole thing is a poison.
Yeah, he thinks it's a poison, and seems to suspect that the newly appeared hive ghosts are the one poisoning the general populace of the hive, of the Lucent Hive, at least.
Well, I guess in a way well, I don't know. I like, if you think of it in terms of a maybe not a poison, but maybe more like a virus.
Well, and that seems to kind of be the conclusion that they come to here. Not that it's with an intent for harm, but it's just by nature of the Lucent Hive being so unaccustomed, the hive physiology in general being so unaccustomed to light energy, and now suddenly they're surrounded by it all the time because there are these Lucent Hive ghosts just floating around everywhere and using light and reviving people and all that. Their bodies are reacting to it as like a foreign invader.
Yeah.
And so the Hive body, similar to how a human body reacts to a foreign object, is trying to isolate it and push it out of the body. And
I will never pop a zit the same again.
and in this case, because it's light energy and light is paracausal in nature and tends to skew towards the generation of life rather than the destruction of life, it is taking the Hive cells that are trying to contain it, and it's turning them into a light version of Hive cells, which are these little lucent moths.
Is this why the moths have 3 eyes?
This is why the moths have 3 eyes. They're the light's version of the very lowest form of a Hive light form, born in the light.
So here's a this is a hard question, because even trying to wrap my head around trying how to word this is hard. The krill became the Hive.
Yes.
So what is a Hive? Because the krill had the 3-eye thing before.
Mm-hmm.
So what the hell is a Hive?
I mean, a Hive is just the krill after being introduced to the worms, the worm larvae.
That's it. That's full. There doesn't seem to be any type of like physical difference between what a hive looks like with a worm and what a hive looks like without a worm.
Not overly. Granted, we don't really have any comparisons to see in game.
The only thing I can think of is the memories that we were shown.
Right, with Sithona prior to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess there are some changes between Savathûn and Sithona, but you could argue that some of those are also just by nature of being given the opportunity to grow past, what was it, like 10 years old or something.
Right. I mean, you're talking beings that like what you're saying, they never grew past 10 years old, and now they are a billion years old.
Right. So I think aesthetically,
I just find that strange that there doesn't seem to be any physical change from one to the other than, okay, I now am immortal and I've got a little wormy thing living in my belly.
Well, and I won't say that there's no physical change. At least maybe aesthetically, not so much, but physiologically, this card tells us there has been. Like that their bodies are so tuned to not accept light that they see light energy as a foreign invader and have an immune response to it.
Because
all their bodies have known up till this point is dark, provided via
darkness,
the worm.
right? Like that's what I was thinking too. Like, so this is kind of another interesting thing here. Rulk, we know this now. We didn't know this before, but we know this now. Rulk was the original one that went to the worms and stole Mama Zeta and was like, suck it. Were the worms inherently tied to the dark before then?
I think it's implied that they were.
Okay.
Not dark as in the witness, but dark as in they were beings of the deep. They lived in the dark. Dark, the location, I suppose, to be specific. So they were beings that thrived in the dark energy, but they didn't have any, machinations to align with the witness or dominate, fundament until Rulk came down and, essentially forced them into it.
Yeah, it was like, I'm taking your mom for a battery. Um, bye. And mom was like, now hold on. Batteries are energy things. You live in the real world here. That's cool that you think you can use your little paracausal stuff to make energy. You can't, because we're in the real world. Physics apply. Use them as an energy source. And then they were like, oh, look, we'll find even more. Use them for an energy source, and we'll just create a train of energy all the way up to Mama Zeta to power this world-ending thing.
I don't know that that's
Man,
exactly how
worms are
it
kind
went
of
down,
dumb.
but
I think that's how it went down. Like, that's kind of how it went down.
well,
No, that's not how it went. I'm going to say that's how it went down.
Rulk was the one that told them to give the larvae to the hive. Like that was not something that the worms were going to do of their own accord. That's right. That was an order from him.
Yep, that was the whole thing with him, was giving that order. So I guess that's an interesting thing. I guess even he knew that that this power source wasn't going to be infinite. Like, he would have to find some way to create this infinite power source by telling them, hey, give the worms to this. Because and correct me if I'm wrong here again, every worm in existence was physically cut from Zeta.
That's the implication. That cut, like, Rulk cut away from her flesh, and then it, in the same way that I guess an earthworm does,
right, like you cut an earthworm in half and they'll crawl away from each other.
Yeah, like it turned into its own, like a larva, its own life form. Which was then, distributed through the hive.
Right. Interesting. It's just it's a neat thought, because again, I still come back to the idea of is there a definitive thing anywhere that you know of, other than what we're told in Books of Sorrow, that says that the worms were dark and have always been dark aligned? Because that would be an interesting thing to come out if it came out that, like, hey, the worms were never actually dark aligned. They just became that way because Rulk went down there and was like, suck it. And now, because of that, now they are dark aligned.
Well, and I think that is the implication. And we need to be careful here. Dark aligned, in my view, is not the same as allying with the witness.
Right.
Because
they just happen to have dark. I guess dark aligned would, in this sense, would be like, would they be harbingers of dark the abilities, of dark the force?
And I think that's true.
Okay.
Because
like pre-Rulk, they
pre-Rulk, because even pre-Rulk, the Leviathan was still keeping them caged.
Right. Right, and that I think that's a definitive thing too that we've come to conclusion on. Fundament was a prison. Yes. And Leviathan was there guarding them, and was specifically like their jailer. And then Rulk was just like, nah, fuck that. I'm better than you. Suck it. And Leviathan was like, oh shit, you're better than me. Ow. Take my rib. And Rulk's like, gladly. While I'm down here, I'll just grab a worm because I need a battery.
See, again, I don't know that's exactly how that went down, but
that's totally how that went down. That's just, you didn't see the 2014 remake of the. Never mind.
Yeah. Anyway,
so to backtrack into this book, so like, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that comment. Go back to the book.
Okay, we'll go back to the book.
I'm caught up in this idea of the. But again, like you're saying, if they're not aligned with the witness, they just happen to have dark the force, access to dark the force. That's an interesting thought.
Right? Like that, the way that I see it, I see the deep, where dark energy primarily resides or is strongest. The location, the deep, is just an ecosystem. like any other.
Yeah. That's what it seems like.
The flowers, the flora that grows on the Glycon seems to inherently be
dark
tied
flowers.
to dark energy, but that doesn't mean that they're working for the Witness. And I think the same can be
right.
applied
It doesn't
to the
mean that they're evil. It doesn't mean that. That's that right there. That they're not working for the Witness. That they're not like. That doesn't mean anything. They just happen to run off of dark energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if we in this universe found. And I say found antimatter, but that's what I'm gonna call it. We just found antimatter and then was like, hey, we're gonna use this. Like that would just be a thing. That would just be another tool to use. And so that's interesting. I've never truly thought of the deep as like an ecosystem of just being inherently dark, and I've always thought of it as like the ruler of the dark, the Witness, made this place of bold darkness with, I only use dark and gray color scheme on everything. But no, it's just a place.
No,
it's
just a place. I guess to draw a real world comparison, there are bacteria out there that eat arsenic, that survive off arsenic. That doesn't necessarily mean that those bacteria are trying to kill humanity. That just happens to be how they've evolved to live.
Or does it? Ba 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 ba. Shit. I wasn't ready for that. All these fucking bacteria are gonna rise up. Fuck humanity. That's what we think. I guess it'd be like 1,000 little like, fuck humanity!
To be the scientist that looks through that microscope.
I want to see this bacteria just middle finger the scientist, be like, fuck you! And the little scientist be like, what in the hell did I smoke this morning?
Oh. All right. So
okay, back
get
to
us
stories.
Back on track here.
Yeah, I'm totally off track now. This shit has gone out the window to the moon. Now we're coming back. Book number 4.
Yeah, so
or chapter 4, I guess.
Continuing the Lucent Tales, chapter 4 is talking. This is talking about a ghost that is all in on the like. Yeah, I'm a member of the Hive. Fuck humanity.
Edge. Oh shit! Is he a bacteria? Does he eat arsenic?
Right. He's all about
God damn it.
He's got books of sorrow next to his bedside table. He reads it every night before he goes to bed. He is in it.
He's got a little like a fanboy picture of like the Witness, and every night he goes, "Good night, Witness."
He's got like a band poster of Oryx and Saturday and Shivu.
It's just at the bottom. It just says the sisters, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, the sisters."
Yes, this is that ghost. This is that ghost.
Does this ghost make Edgelord Amaru look like just a pretty fanboy?
Kinda, yeah.
God dang it!
So, all right. But this also shows us how a ghost can be so in on the ideas of the sword logic, and how a hive is now maybe questioning where it came from. So,
oh shit.
This chapter is called Ulick, and it goes like this. Rise again, Luzaku Ayat. Rise and take back the logic, this heretic won in your death. Yes, arm yourself and lay low the guardian scourge. The false inheritor of the light has grown fat on your weakness. To whittle him thin is to make yourself strong. Yes, he lies broken just as the gift mast, but be wary. Yes, there his ghost awakens him, and your victory is soured. Mind the bullets, bathe in the metal rain, and be cleansed, not drowned. Lift up your shredder, it is your tutor in studying the shape of your foe. Again he lies in ruin, and you learned well your lesson. Yes, seizing the ghost. The logic from this kill will make you strong. With this ghost, you crush not only the foe before you, but every foe he could have been. It is the whole worth of him in your hand. Gaze upon it. Yes, see how it trembles, so fragile. Hear it describe you in your victory. Take it now in this moment of ultimate truth. Grow drunk on victory and in revelry. Know the worth of this thing. Crush the ghost. Why do you linger, Luzaku? What is there to learn with your eyes that you will not learn with your fist? Do you not wish to be something real? Something that lasts forever? Why do you look to me? Children are curious, humans are curious, but Hive are strong. Your understanding comes in vanquishing the thing, so do it. No, it's free. This is what your speculating has wrought, Luzaku. You have failed, and now the tides of the universe will erode you into meaningless dust. All that you could have become has slipped through your fumbling fingers. The Guardian will now return, flush and hungry from his death. And then you will be dead. I out. So this is an edgelord ghost, is what this is.
This is fucking. He's got like the full Sister soundtrack too. He's even got the deep cuts, man. He just
That's right. Oh,
he's
the
just
deluxe edition
sitting up
track.
there like, Quarrier, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here.
So
exactly what's happening here.
We have this very interesting relationship though, where there's a ghost that is all in.
He is. He's like, fuck this other Guardian ghost. Like, he's literally like, this knight is about to do what we do to all these ghosts that we see.
Mhm.
He's literally got him in his hand, and he's about to crush him and end this thing. Like, in the ghost, which would obviously end the Guardian, because the Guardian's dead. If the ghost is sitting out there out in the open,
Mhm.
then, and in his words, like the sword logic thing, like, you've now defeated every foe that this ghost and Guardian would have ever defeated by defeating it, therefore making you even stronger. Like, yeah, he's very much, he's all in it. He's all in on this sword logic thing.
And we get this scene though of this Hive Knight, this Lucent Hive, holding this trembling, terrified Guardian ghost and looking at it, and then looking at his own ghost, and coming to the conclusion that they are one and the same, and that he cares enough for his ghost to have empathy for the one in his hand and to let it go, despite the protests of his.
Like, I think back to the first time that we as Guardians crushed a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
when we were on that very first mission, when we were up on Savathun's ship, and it, like, you grab it and you crush it, and then, like, you're like looking at your hand like, what the fuck did I just do? Was that me? Was that my actions? Did I actively do that? What is happening here? And that seems like the same thing that's going on here. Like, this knight has grabbed it and been like, what am I about to do? And then just looking at this thing like trembling, terrifying, and is like, dude, I have one of these. If I have one of these and this thing is in my hand, is this the right thing to do? Like,
yeah,
aren't they the same thing? Aren't they cut from the same cloth? Didn't they all come from the Traveler anyway? Like, if I kill this thing, what does that say about me as a Guardian, right? Like, what does this say as me, the Knight, as a Guardian? Like, that's a man.
And
maybe it's cool to be an edgelord.
It's an interesting thought here. If Savathun lost her memories when she was resurrected by nature of us needing to get them back for her,
right?
Presumably, every single Hive Guardian also lost their memories. And so,
how have I not thought of that till now?
A freshly resurrected Hive Guardian would not have any of the history of the sword logic, any of the prejudice of the hive being the greater species above all else, they have to be retaught all of that when they're resurrected,
Holy shit.
reindoctrinated.
That's okay, so that's an interesting train of thought there. Who the fuck is just sitting in the background redoctrinating all these Lucent broods?
And presumably Savathun made plans for that. I
I'm
would assume that
I'd be intrigued. Okay, so full on prediction here. I think that whatever is indoctrinating these broods in the ways of sword logic is in the dungeon that's coming out on Friday. And that's what we're gonna go fuck up.
that is a very I like it. I hope that's what it turns out, because I had absolutely no thoughts about the dungeon up till now.
Wouldn't that be fucking cool? I've never thought of that though. Like
mhm.
but you're right. Every single thing that's been risen and has a ghost has lost its memory of its previous light. We had to actively go, like, Savathun had to make like so many fucking crazy conspiracy theory level bullshit hoops for us to jump through to even bring her memories back. And even then, she still didn't really. We only had the memories that were shown to her. Like she doesn't actually. I don't think she actively got her memories back. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, yeah.
it's like watching a movie of yourself and having complete amnesia, but you're seeing yourself in that movie, and so you're like, well, this has to be true. This has to be fact because I'm seeing myself there. So I will embellish that thought. That's just holy shit, man.
Now, another thought is that by nature of what we saw in the collector's edition book, the diary that came with that,
Right.
these kind of wandering ghosts that we assume a majority of them became these hive ghosts, it was stated, have a deep understanding and sympathy for the hive via the books of sorrow. So it might be the ghosts themselves are resurrecting their hive and taking it upon themselves to give them their history via what they've read in the books of sorrow, and the
true.
newly risen hive, not knowing anything else, take it as gospel.
Take it as law of the land.
That's the way the world is.
I mean, shit. In D1, when we got rezzed, everything that was fed to us, we took that as law of the land.
Yeah.
We fucking came to the tower, like, all right, we're in the tower. Fuck it, we're tower. Like, oh, speaker. Yep, speaker. He's the fucking speaker. Cool. Let's go. Let's do. Speaker's like, do this. Okay, fuck it. Let's do this. Exo Stranger shows up. I don't know who the fuck you are, but we're gonna do that now.
So
that's kind of a kind of a mind fuck.
But despite all that, despite this indoctrination, despite this retelling of these freshly born hive, this is your lot in life, this is what you should be doing, this is what you stand for, at least one of them, at least this Luzaku character, has made the decision to not kill a guardian.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Okay. Book 5.
So, on to the next chapter.
Chapter 5. Should I call it Chapter 5? Because this is all a book, right?
It's all a book. It's all the Lucent
all
Tale
the lore
book.
books. I keep calling them like Book 1, Book 2, Book 3. They're chapters.
They're chapters, yeah.
Books don't have books inside of them.
Not usually,
I mean,
no.
Unless if like you had like a big book and you like cut a hole out and then put a smaller book in it, like how they cut like holes out in the shape of guns.
Yeah, so chapter 5.
You just cut Is that not an Inception book? A book inside of a book inside of a book?
There will be no bookception.
Okay. Chapter 5.
So chapter
Go
5 follows a ghost that we are all very familiar with at this point, or at least if you've played Witch Queen, you are. This is a ghost by the name of Finch. And this
Who the hell is Finch?
This is a two-parter. So this is Finch part 1. And he says, you got to understand, none of us came here thinking grand schemes. None of us. There was just this urge, So we followed it. only to step into a world remaking itself. The light just thrashing away at the darkness, pounding away, mountains sloshing into seas like sugar in the rain. A Hive throne world remade on a whim. I'm not what you would call a believer. Not after the Red War. Not after the Tangled Shore. Not after a lifetime of never mattering just because I wasn't half of someone else's whole. But seeing that made me feel again. And then I saw him. What was left of him. Just lying there. Just this corpse, dead maybe 100 years. It was my night. I look and I know he is mine. Like hearing a song for the first time, but it's already stuck in your head. And in that moment, I think something. I think something good in me died. And 22 and Camasia and Marcel, they're all raising their partners, Hive light bearers, every last one. You'd think it'd be impossible, but sure enough, all standing there. Elay, Quasit, Hatcher, everyone finding their purpose. There's Hive to the left of me, Hive to the right. I'm buried in them. And the whole time, every ghost I ever knew is shouting, telling me, this is the Traveler's plan. Who are you to question it? And I thought, maybe they're right. I mean, I could see the light scouring a whole world right in front of my eyes. Maybe this was some kind of turning point for the Hive. Knowing your creator chose you to remake an entire species. Oh, you'd make bad choices too. So I shared my light. Who wouldn't? Couple hundred of your closest friends bearing down on you and a Hive shredder waiting if you said no? I shared it. I reached into him and I touched something deep. And what he offered back, it wasn't light or dark. It was cold. It was wrong. And I knew it would fill up whatever empty cracks in me the light had left behind. And I chose to make it a part of me, to be half of his whole. I chose to share my soul with a monster. And the thing is, you can't just be part monster. And that's the end of Finch Part 1.
I do have to laugh because part of it was definitely making me think of a song. It was like, Hive to the left me, Hive to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yeah, no, that's exactly what's happening there. I think of Finch as like a lover of classic rock. That's what I think.
I could see that. Yeah.
He's not over there like, Quaria, fuck yeah. No, he's just like, I bet he likes a good smooth set of jazz too.
Yeah, he's not in the pits moshing yet. He's on the outskirts,
not.
Just watching the show, getting into the groove a little bit. Yeah.
I was gonna say something really mean. I can't bring myself to do it. I was gonna say he's at a Shinedown concert, sitting on the edge, thinking, "Wow, this is the hardest metal I've ever been to."
Oh, sweet summer
But that's
child.
rude. That's rude. And I'm not gonna say that.
No, of course not.
Because I like Shinedown. I don't think it's the hardest metal ever, but I do like Shinedown.
Oh. All right. But we can see the mindset that some of these ghosts that were maybe on the edge were put in. They were drawn in from curiosity. All, they're seeing friends around them raising Hive, which is a feat thought impossible up till this point.
Fucking peer pressure,
and
man.
he's describing Savathun's throne world being remade in the light right in front of him. Like, watching this paracausal force that you are so deeply tied to just eradicate an entire world made of darkness.
That's what's always blown my mind too, is this throne world that is supposed to be like of the ascendant plane or like a chunk of the pocket universe, and it's all darkness up until this point, and then to just be bathed in light. Like, how about that scene has got to be a fucky ass scene to watch that unfold.
And Finch is seeing this light just carve away at its ultimate enemy, and he's seeing this impossible thing happening all around him. And I can get why he would be like, you know what, this is it. The Traveler is deciding that it's going to make a turning point for the Hive species, and I get to be a part of it. And so he gives in.
I'm doing my part.
Doing my part, yeah. But
that's exactly what he's thinking.
So he gives in, and he discovers that maybe it was not as much of the Traveler's plan as he originally thought, and as some of the other ghosts
kids,
maybe thought.
Puff puff pass is not always the right choice.
And so we come to the second part of Finch's story.
That was way too on point for one of our listeners to just He's getting a thank you tonight. All right, so Finch part 2.
So Finch part 2 goes like this. Oh, no. Why of all things did you make me do this? The Hive certainly weren't perfect. Actually, let's not mince words. They were straight up evil, but I gave you a part of me. I let you make me worse just so I could make you better. You were supposed to understand. You were the only one who ever could. Why wouldn't you? So really, this is your fault, not mine. I know you don't want to be dead. I know that. You think I don't know that? I watched you shoot a guardian and her ghost dead. All because I could hear you in the back of my mind needing me to bring you back. And I listened. I listened to the others and then to you, to everyone except myself. I didn't expect miracles, but I expected something. Yes, you're dead now, and I can hear you, but I can't. Don't you get it? I just can't. I'm not going to be the trigger man anymore. I'm not going to sacrifice humanity on your personal altar. You're not worth it. You're not worthy. And you never were you? Why does Savathun have the light? I should have asked why a long time ago. None of us did at the time, but I should have. We both know this wasn't right. Look, I've got no faith left in the Traveler, but I know it wouldn't give me a monster and say make him a god. No, we both know this wasn't right. Was it pity? Optimism? Maybe it's just the obvious. I mean, Hive don't accept gifts, they take. Maybe the Traveler was tricked. The end of some long con. The Traveler isn't just some dumb orb ripe for grifting. Gaul found that out the hard way. There's got to be more to it. I have to dig deeper. And if joining you damned me, well, hell sounds like a good place to start. I'll find out how she did it. And I don't care how much you try to change my mind. You're staying dead. You hear me? You made me a monster, remember? You don't get to cry about it when I finally act like one. That's the end of that one.
There's a lot of interesting things in this one. Like, okay, so the first one that I like, kind of like attached to, was that thought of like, there is a constant nagging in the back of Finch's mind to res that dead knight next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's an interesting. It's interesting that is a thing there. So that's got to be, if there's a nagging in the back of Finch's mind, Finch is a ghost. Therefore, logically, every single ghost has that same nagging when their guardian dies. That they need to go res them or something like some
mm-hmm.
sort of
yeah.
constant like, hey, your guardian's dead. Like almost like and I say like a nagging. It's almost more like a reminder going off on your phone. Like, hey, don't forget your guardian's dead. Go res him. And you're just like, ah,
Yeah.
fuck. And you're either hitting accept, or in this case, Finch is like, fuck that, ignore, fucking snooze, fucking I'll
Finch
deal with
just
you
keeps
later.
hitting snooze on the alarm
He
clock.
just he
Yeah.
just doesn't give a shit. And I say doesn't give a shit. He does give a shit. Like he's like,
Yeah.
no, you made me a monster, because like in the book or the chapter before, he's like, you can't just be part monster. Like you can't be half of a whole. You are either a whole thing or you're not. And so the fact that he's made him into a monster, like that's almost like him accepting that and like twisting his own words back at him and saying, well, you made me into a monster. This is the reality you get to live with. I get to be the monster now and say, fuck you. I'm not resin you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a bold move there. And then
And
the
it's
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's uh interesting to see, and maybe it's just a personality. Clearly some Hive drank the Kool-Aid a little more than, or some ghosts drank the Kool-Aid a little more than others.
Just a little bit.
But for Finch to, in part one, to be so optimistic, to be like almost have a rekindling of hope that like the world is getting better. I'm seeing it happen in front of me. The light is pushing back the dark and is making the world better. And I'm going to be a part of it. And I'm going to be part of this big change by aligning myself with a Hive. And then in the second part, to see him kind of have that unfortunate crash down to reality of like,
yep,
no, you were never worthy.
I fucked up.
I should have never picked you, but now I did, and I'm going to live with the consequences, but I'm going to make sure that I put a stop to however this happened.
Well, and that's an interesting thought too there. He brought up a good question. And I don't think this question has ever been asked by anyone. Everyone asks, how did Savathun get the light? We learned that. We found that out. We got shown the everything. Nobody asked, why did Savathun get the light? And the only thing that we have to go off of is the one memory of I believe it was off of the witness, saying that the Hive were going to get chosen anyway. Let's choose them before they get chosen. Let's corrupt them with darkness and promise them, give this, carrot on a stick, eternal life, ultimate power, before eternal life and ultimate power chooses them, because, me as the witness, I'm actively starting to get played against with the gardener.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thought of like, who cares how she got it? Why did she get it? Why was she chosen? Why were any of the Hive chosen, other than, they've now we've kind of hit this theory a few times, right? Like they've met the criteria. They were brave. They showed dedication. They self-sacrificed, all that. That's what made them worthy of the light. That's what made the gardener say, all right, this thing is worthy to wield this paracausal power in this game that I've created, and I've deemed them okay. I've deemed them fit to dick around with it. Yeah, that's a man. These ghosts are thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. That's what I like about every single one of these ghosts so far, is they're thinkers. They're asking those questions that aren't being asked. The why, not the how. Like, who cares how it happened? Why did it happen? How do we fix it? How do we change it? How do we do something about it? Man, this is good.
Yeah, and I think the only maybe inkling that we have as to a why for Savathun in particular, is I was recently replaying the campaign on my third character because I hadn't done it yet, and
I still have
Savathun Savathun has a line along the lines of saying, I will not take, I will give. I will give the traveler a safe haven within my throne world to protect it from the witness.
Yep.
And we don't know what the interworkings of the traveler or what its thoughts were, but if it were just taking the offer of, hey, I will protect you from the big bad boogeyman that's making his way towards the soul system, and the traveler took that offer, knowing that it was gonna, damn humanity most likely to death.
Sure.
That could be a why. Could be a why.
So that's an interesting train of thought to go down too. Like, if the traveler had seen that and been like, hey, I tried everything with all these other human. I've tried things in Harmony. I tried things out in the Ecumene. I've tried these things everywhere, and they failed. Who's to say what I'm doing with the Guardians and this ghost and just giving them the light directly? Who's to say that that's not going to fail? Maybe Savathun's got a point. Maybe if Savathun really is going to give me a safe place to hide, and that's a neat thought too, right? Like the throne world is this place of the ascendant plane and darkness and all that stuff. And I mean, we freely travel it like it's nothing. I don't know if the witness can freely travel it. We don't know if the witness can go to an ascendant plane or to a throne world.
I would assume they can.
Right.
Rulk
Like you
was
would
there,
think. Like,
so
that's what I'm saying. Like, he sent the darkness ship in it, but now to be fair, sent Rulk in, and Rulk got trapped
because Savathun cursed him with the light. That's what the whole wellspring activity is you are holding down the wellspring because that is where the fountain of light is coming from, that is powering the curse that keeps Rulk trapped in the pyramid.
Well, shit. See, folks, read the dialogue.
Read the dialogues.
I had no fucking clue why we were doing fucking Wellspring. I didn't have a...
Yep.
And so that's why he's sending darkness squads to go fuck it up.
Yep.
That makes... Okay. All right.
Because it weakens
read the dialogue,
curse,
kids.
And then we eventually have to, go to his house and kick his shit in.
Kick his... that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's such beautiful legs, too. Like... I mean, Bayonetta is literally jealous of his leg. Like... Oh, I'm jealous of his legs, man. Anyway, okay. So collector's edition.
So this didn't come directly from the collector's edition diary, but it was the kind of supplementary stuff from the ARG that came from it. Those extra 30 pages.
All the shredded pages.
Yep. Where Ikora is kind of coming to terms with what the light and dark mean. As kind of the fundamental forces and what those forces do and why each of them are important going forward. And she comes to the conclusion,
there's a lot of that in the shredded pages. Like, those shredded pages are, if nobody's had a chance to, if y'all haven't had a chance to read them, go find those 30 pages from the ARG, read them cover to cover if you can. There's a lot of thinking going on in there.
And kind of the main conclusion that Ikora comes to is that the dark is important because it helps us remember what has hurt us in the past so that we will not be hurt from it again. And the light is important because it offers the ability, the otherwise I don't want to say impossible, but otherwise very improbable possibility for unconditional forgiveness.
Because of the pure, because of the wiping of the memory.
Because of the wiping of the memory. That you can approach a subject without a predisposed decision based on personal prejudice, based on memory of being
past experience.
Swindled, of past experience. You are coming to it as pure as possible, educated maybe about the events, but pure in personal experience, and that will offer you the ability to have unconditional forgiveness towards the other party, and that without that, there's no moving forward.
That right. Okay, so that's an interesting thing there too. Like maybe not unconditional forgiveness, but like the ability to make an unbiased choice.
Yes.
I think that's more the key there is to be able to walk into a situation with no preconceived anything, like no, yes, you have been given a record of what has happened, and you've been able to read that record, but you weren't able to experience. You don't have the personal emotion tied to it. So now it's just you as a being, and what's your drive? What's your, what would be your, for lack of a better term, D&D character alignment? What would your character do? What, not what you the person would do, but what would your character do?
And
That's an interesting thought.
if we take that thought, that may also be a potential why the Hive were given the light, or were allowed to be given the light, because maybe the Traveler wanted to see if the Hive could, given the opportunity of not having memory of sword logic, of not having memory of, we are the ultimate race in the universe and we will prove that via destroying everything. Maybe some, maybe all would choose a different path, like that Hive Knight we talked about a few chapters ago.
Interesting.
Maybe there's a little bit of hope for some of the Hive Guardians not being enemies.
I mean, that definitely gives us precedence to have Hive allies.
Sometime down the road, I think that's possible. Yeah.
Man, now again, oh man. So that draws a bunch of parallels to what happened with Lakshmi and the Elixni when they joined. Like there's so many lore entries about humans just like fuck Elixni. Like my whole house and family was murdered by a fallen squad, and all they see is that thing looks like a fallen, it acts like a fallen, it talks like a fallen, it's got to be a fallen. Not like, hey, this thing has been through just as much shit as you have, trying to create a life for itself and its family. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Man, I just got hit right in the dick with the feels. I wasn't ready for that tonight either. Jesus. Okay. Well, now that my feeling bubble has been kicked in, where are we going to next?
So the next chapter here is titled Spectre, which is a investigator of sorts from the looks of it, who's giving a transcript report. And so that one goes like this. Type: personal investigative report. Parties: 1 ghost type, designate Spectre. Associations: Light, Lucent Hive. Transcript follows. Post Lumination Day, 17/10/23. Arrived on scene. Victim is a thrall. No identity. Cause of death: fractured neck due to blunt force trauma. Traces of light detected. Nebenki interviewed the primary suspect. Hive prefer talking to their own and don't respond to things, even things that bring them back from the dead. Overheard confession. Suspect is Knight, identified as Uruk Thalin, victim's commander. Reported that when his ghost detected light within the victim, Uruk Thalin executed him for theft. Open and shut case. Post Illumination Day 13/44. 3 more deaths fitting the same pattern. internal artifacts of light, victims summarily executed. But circumstances raise more questions. Thralls don't partner with ghosts, should be unable to receive or carry light. Nebenki tasked to investigate. Suspects an organized smuggling ring, potential human or fallen infiltration. Post-Illumination Day 1814-57. Encountered suspect Thrall, no identification. Classified as POI 7. Tests confirm traces of light. Nebenki applied standard Hive interrogation techniques. Extracted confession after extended session. POI 7 admitted to stealing light, keeping it in urns. Also implicated a superior acolyte. Doesn't add up. PLD 18-1912. Requested time alone with suspect to establish rapport. Nebenki hesitant, doesn't like being spoken to unbidden, but acquiesces. POI 7 admitted to giving false confession to end visceral Hive interrogation. Claimed complete ignorance to the light's origins in his system. When asked about his unusual activity, reported that his symbiote feels sated without need for bloodshed or tithing. PLD 18-1933. Consulted Nebenki for context regarding tithing. Apparently, Hive function on a system of energetic kickbacks, paid up the ladder, ending with the Queen. Would have been useful to know earlier. Suspect this network may be impacted by introduction of light. Nebenki confirmed light exhibits a negative pressure within the system, may be pushing trace amounts back through. Have submitted theory to our commander for further investigation. PLD 19-630. Partner acknowledged me this morning. Established eye contact. Potentially ill? PLD 19-742. On my recommendation, POI 7 executed for perjury. Thus ends that report.
Feeling ill? That got me. I wasn't ready for that one. So this, there's a few things in here that I was like, okay, this absolutely confirms a few theories that we've talked about before. The whole energy thing.
Mm-hmm.
He straight up says they don't feel sated unless if they feed their energy up. They are all literally feeding the energy to the battery, to the upending. This is 100% confirmed here then, and that light is the not necessarily good part, but the force is an equal and opposite reaction to it. Mm-hmm. Therefore, able to if light and darkness occupy the same space at the same time, superpositioning theory says they're going to cancel each other out and create a zero line. And that's exactly what's fucking happening. Like, that confirms all of our theories on this stuff being a force, an energy force, and thus, because it's in our existence, it has to follow all the laws of our existence. Dude, this is fucking crazy.
So we established with the first chapter that Hive, the general populace of Hive, are being exposed to this light energy, and it is infesting their body to the point where some of their bodies are trying to fight it back with an immune response.
Right. And they hesitate to call it a tumor because it's like,
right.
There's no what do they say?
It's not metastasizing.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. But so we know, generally speaking, the Hive populace, the Lucent Hive populace at least, has exposure to light radiation, I guess, for lack of a better term. And
ooh, I like that. I like that term.
We are now seeing that is having a direct effect on even Hive that aren't partnered with a ghost, where that light radiation is zeroing out their
Yeah.
need to kill things to feed their worm.
It's sating their worm without the need for bloodshed. That's what was like, that right there was my instant like, oh my god, this confirms everything. Like this is it. This is and the fun the way the thing I like about this card is it's very much a like, cops and robbers CIS Miami style
Yeah.
thing, right? Like it's definitely a CIS Miami because the interrogation they're using, I feel like would be pretty standard in Miami. I mean, it's Florida, so it's whatever. And I mean, shit, fucking Savathun's Throne World is just a swamp. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
Just
Savathun's Throne World is Florida.
Just in the Keys, yeah.
Son of a bitch, we found it.
No, I do think it's interesting though that this informs us. Actually, a lot of these have informed us about there's a societal structure to the Hive that are not that isn't purely militaristic. Like they have doctors and they have investigators and they have roles within their communities that are not just you're rank and file,
Captain,
you're the
general,
leader, you're the
squad leader, all
like
that.
They have people doing jobs that are more than just militaristic in nature.
I just want to meet a Hive fucking doctor now. he just runs. He's got clinic duty on the weekends, and he fucking hates it. And he's just in there. He's like, "All right, what's your fucking symptom?" And the thrall is just like, "Arm hurt." Well, I know your arm fucking hurts. What did you do? Met Guardian. Well, you fucking idiot. That's don't go near Guardians. Light bad. Light bad. Okay. Yeah, light bad. I go now. I get better now. No, you're not gonna get better. That arm's gone. Okay. Bye now.
I envision the Hive positions being very dark ages. Very like,
shit.
my wrist really hurts. Like, all right, off with the hand.
Tourniquet.
Fixed.
Burn her. A witch. No, I'm not a witch. I'm an acolyte. A witch. It's pronounced wizard. Wizard. God damn. I want to know what their HMOs are like. Yeah. Have you ever been to the moon? I mean, this implies there are Hive like scientists and astronauts and fucking. But I guess isn't every Hive an astronaut because they travel from fucking moon to moon?
Yeah.
Like for them, being an astronaut is just like being a milkman or something. Like that's like being a cashier at a restaurant or something. Like nobody gives a shit, Jeff. You're a fucking astronaut. We're all fucking astronauts, Jeff. My mom said I could be anything I wanted to be. I'm doing my part. God damn it. Hive society is fucking nuts, and I love it.
So,
oh man,
moving on to the next.
I do want to know like who they're like, like, do they have like HMOs or do they just have like supplemental insurance? Is that all they have? God damn it. Do they have car insurance? Do they even care? Do they like? Do they just hit each other and they're just like, fuck.
I didn't renew my car insurance. Damn.
I wasn't ready.
Those void energy prices, they're skyrocketing.
They're fucking ridiculous, man. Fucking ever since Savathun took off, his void energy is just fucking through the roof. This is ridiculous. It was up to 3.0 yesterday. Who knows what it'll be at tomorrow?
Oh.
See what I did there?
I do. I like it.
Oh, shit. God.
So,
literally tomorrow. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
You were cleverer than you thought.
I am. I didn't even know I am. Oh god. Okay.
All right, next one.
So going outside of Hive societal, I'm learning a lot more about the Hive today than I've learned about in like the entire Books of Sorrow. Like the Books of Sorrow is just like, yeah, Hive did some shit. Quarry is a thing. Sucks to suck. Taken King dead. Go. This is like, you know, Jeff and Bob are like, hey Bob, hey Jeff, how was work today? Oh, it was pretty damn good. I killed 3 guardians today. No shit. Good job, man. I didn't find a single one. Well, I mean, it's hard to find them if you don't really, leave your house. Hey, I'm not judging you for killing them. Don't judge me for not killing them, you ass. That's God damn it.
Okay, next one.
Next book. I promise I'm done.
So
That's the last Hive societal thing I'm doing today.
This chapter is about our favorite edgelord, the original Imaru.
Fucking number 1.
Yeah.
Fucking he's
First
even
ghost.
he first ghost Imaru speaking. he's even more than like he's like he looks at like warrior, fuck yeah. He's like, yeah, that's some pussy ass shit, man. We need to get some fucking hard shit in here. Yeah, that's edgelord Imaru.
It's exactly him. So this one is titled Imaru. And it's an interaction actually between Imaru and Savathun. And is
interesting.
Very hypocritical, in my opinion.
Oh god. Oh god.
So here we go. This one goes like this. The light of the wellspring spilled out below them. From the palace tower, Imaru watched the churn where it met the darkness, new waves eroding an ancient shore. The flash of muzzle fire was visible from this perch, even if the combatants weren't. He huffed and shuddered, trying to remember how to speak as he watched the Guardians' unprovoked assault into their ascendant plane. No better than the scorn, he growled. Savathun turned from the honey-sweet music only she could hear and stroked her ghost. Ah, child, loyal as you are, you still only see their actions, not the chains that drag them to inevitability. Just as Hive must test, humans must control, and failing that, attack. You must not take it personally. Attacking the unknown is their nature. We ghosts ain't unknown. Imaru pulled free of her affections. We lived with them, saved them. Now they're ripping through us. Damn ungrateful, if you ask me. Surely you don't believe they're punishing you for disobedience. Aren't they? His voice was dark and hard, and he paused to recenter. Everyone, Fallen, Vex, even Hive, every last one of them knows you don't shoot the medic, but nobody told those jokers, apparently. Your anger is understandable. The Witch Queen pulled Imaru to her embrace once more, and slowly his shivers of rage calmed. Humans fear death, and you were suckled on their teat, but the Hive know death as the unseen sister. It is she who welcomes you home to rest, and who allows you to egress when you prove able to take it. Imaru stared out in silence at the distant flashes of battle. Sister or not, it's time we push back. We got anything like they got? A ghost killer? The Hive uncovered such weapons long ago, but many have found them distasteful. I suppose we could recover the magics, but surely you and your fellows would see such tactics as an abomination. Imaru turned back to face the flashes of rifle fire on the distant shore. Not anymore. And that ends that one.
So I thought of a song for Imaru.
Oh?
It's from the Lego movie.
Okay.
Yeah. You ready? Darkness! No parents! Kinda makes it better! Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Batman. He's fucking Batman. He's Lego Batman.
I mean, yeah, on not the good side.
Yeah.
It's
No.
This is interesting though, because this tells us that the idea of having the Hive Guardians explicitly kill our Guardians ghosts to cause permadeath was apparently Imaru's idea.
Yeah. Yep. And he's and not just his idea. Like the fact that he looks at this and Savathun's like, no, I thought that da da da. He's like, nah, fuck that, man. If they're gonna shoot us, fuck them. We're gonna shoot them right back. Like
Yeah.
he's definitely of that mindset of like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna put up with didn't apparently nobody told them don't shoot the medic, because that's, I mean, realistically that's what ghosts are. It's not just freaking Dr. Jeff going, all right, cauterize it. Shit, I'm gonna lose it again on that. But yeah, I mean the ghosts bring them. The ghosts bring them back to life. They're field medics. They're everything about them. No, field medics are pretty rough, man. Field medics will tourniquet you faster than nothing. Like this, they know one thing, and that's, hey, you need X amount of blood to live. You've lost Y amount of blood. X minus Y equals Z. We need to tourniquet. That's field medic mindset right there. So yeah.
So just interesting that the main push for escalating aggressions from the Hive side actually came from a ghost, Imaru.
Yeah. Well, and we still have no idea what happened to Imaru, right? Like when the Traveler blipped out, like Imaru was looking to us and he was about to say something, I feel like, and he just blipped with it. Like we don't know if he blipped with it because the Traveler took him, or like
that's how I take it.
Like that's what I think. Like I think that is what I think. I think he was like reintegrated with the Traveler, right? Like, which is kind of like a weird thought. Like, is like all of his memories and his experiences over the last 100,000 years, are those now part of the Traveler? Like, was Imaru like a failed experiment of like, hey, I'm gonna make him the greatest edgelord that life has ever known, and then he's just like, yeah, darkness, fuck you, I'm not dealing with you, yeah, darkness. And then the Traveler's like, oh, shit.
Let's reel it back in, buddy.
Let's maybe crank it back down to 5. Take it off of 11 and crank it back down to 5. And he's just like, fuck you, take it to 12. And Ghost Traveler's just like, nope, not happening.
Well, we know a little bit about what happens to him after the final scene of the campaign. By nature of the fact that we are chasing him through the quest where you craft the exotic glaive.
Ooh.
All
Is that
of
bonus material tonight?
Ish, I guess. I mean, I don't have all that dialogue in front of me, but generally speaking, Imaru was trying to find a way to arm the Lucent Hive with weaponry that would be very dangerous to both Guardians and Scorn. And we ended up putting a stop to it, and at the same time using the artifacts he was going to use to build our exotic glaive. Now, we never catch up with him, clearly because we never come across him during that quest, but
right,
it implies that he still has his own agency after the fall of Savathun and is actively doing things to support the Lucent Hive, even without her being there.
Well, and he is given he's given us patrols. Like when we're out there in the throne world, he's like, those neon nerds, fucking little
glitter
shits
bombs
are fucking up my glitter bombs. Are fucking up my little shit. Go kill him. Get him, Hive. And then you're just like, haha. Guess what? Transmission intercepted. I'm gonna get him first. And then he's like, you little shits. They fucking got us. We'll get him next time. Not a very
Yeah.
good commander, I think.
No, he's not. And we had theorized
He's
in
good
our
at shit talking. That's part of it.
we had theorized in our Light and Dark series that the ghosts, if there's parity between the gardener and the winnower, and the winnower is the witness, and the witness is a cacophony of voices, as Mara describes him, that the ghosts may be similar, a bunch of different voices and personalities of the gardener just split into their own bodies.
Sure.
And maybe Amaru then is a piece of that previous large consciousness that sympathized with the dark or sympathized with the winnower, even as a being of the light. And maybe that's why he's a little more skewed towards being loyal to them.
It definitely has. I think of also him as like, the movie Inside Out, where it's like the little red anger thing. He definitely got like that guy out of the Traveler, got
Yeah.
put inside.
Yeah.
That's what Amaru is.
So okay. The next chapter here.
Final chapter?
Nope, we got one more after this. So this is the second.
For some reason I lost count.
Okay. So this chapter is entitled Harmonia. And it's some more musings between ghosts about what they can and can't do now. So this is
what they can and can't do, or they're theorizing what they can and can't do now.
Theorizing a little bit.
Okay.
And it's got some interesting ideas that they throw out here. So this is kind of a like recording of these ghosts as they're passing by an area that's under surveillance. So it's entitled Ambient Auto Logs. Parties to Ghost Type designate Koro and Harmonia. Associations, Light, Unbonded. So they don't have a guardian. Koro, you're just being silly. Harmonia, no, I'm serious. Look at this Castilja flower. Wouldn't it be wonderful if it kept its blossoms year-round, rain or shine? Koro, you want to give the light to a plant. Harmonia, look, there's no rule book. Why can't I give the light to a plant? Or a pigeon? Ooh, or maybe a dog. You want loyal? Get a dog. That's what the humans say. Koro, I can't believe you when you get like this. Harmonia, look, I just think it's dumb that we're only supposed to give the light to humans. And awoken. I mean, are they even human? And exos, come on, they're full-on machines. All any of them ever do is fight over stuff they want. They want glimmer, they want glory, they want knowledge, whatever it is. They climb all over each other trying to get it. I mean, look at what happened to Cade 6. He got the light, but then went rushing off alone, chasing fame or fun or whatever it was, and got himself and his ghost killed in the process. Koro, fine. If that's the way you feel, go raise a houseplant instead then. Go bond with a geranium and sit on a windowsill all day. Harmonia, nah, I think it'd be cooler to raise a hive. What? Harmonia, I mean, not really. It's just on my mind. Koro, you've been reading those ghastly books of sorrow everyone's been passing around, haven't you? Harmonia, a little. I just think humanity could learn a lot from them. It's cool how all the Hive have this one singular purpose they all work towards together, you know? Koro, yes, one singular purpose of destroying the universe. Harmonia, no, outlasting the universe. And isn't that kind of what we're doing with our guardian? Feed ends as subjects go beyond range. And that's the end of that card.
I actively had to mute myself. I wasn't gonna make it through this.
It's a fun one.
I want a fucking ghost to res a plant and just sit in a fucking window. And then his response to that, no, I think I want to go do a hive. You want a what now? Or how about a puppy? They're loyal. Humans always, for the puppies! Yeah.
Uh-huh. Because call back to that marketing material.
This whole chapter I was literally in stitches. I could not stop laughing. I had to mute myself, and this was great. This was, but I mean, it kind of gives you a lot of like thought. Like this one ghost is like, well, there's no rule saying we can't give our light to, anything. Like apparently, all we're doing is giving it to humanity and Awoken, and they're not even humanity. And Exos, they're not even real. They're just a fucking machine. Like. Who's running around giving light to machines? Like this is bullshit. Why not a hive, right? Like,
and
no,
it reiterates this thought that we've seen echoed in some of these other chapters and other talks about ghosts not thinking humanity is worthy. This thought of like all they ever do with it is just fight over shit. Like they're not.
They just want glimmer.
Anything.
They just want fucking guns and loot and shit.
Yeah. And that's why this particular ghost, Harmonia, is like, look, the Hive all work together for one single purpose.
Unified.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to see. You can see how a ghost would start to rationalize the decision around like these people are just out for themselves. They're just climbing all over each other trying to get whatever it is they want. And there's this other group that is all working together in harmony, quote unquote, to try and accomplish the single goal.
I see what you did there. Oh, clever. Turns out I'm not the only one with jokes tonight.
Oh.
A ghost named Harmonious would res a hive. That would happen.
Yep.
I could see that. No, this was a very like that chapter was very much a cute chapter, obviously, but it has some interesting insights into, the logic of why would I choose a hive over anything else. Like the one thing in that whole thing that really stuck with me was there's nothing of the light telling us we have to res something of humanity. Like there's no like rule book. The only thing that, and I keep coming back to this, the only thing that you and I have come to a conclusion of, you just need devotion, bravery, self-sacrifice. As long as I want to know how a fucking germanium
meets those criteria.
Shows I want to find the germanium that he is dedicated himself and he's showing bravery in the face of adversity and he's self-sacrificed himself I want to meet this flower that has done that.
But
I could see a dog.
Yeah, I could see a dog too.
see a dog. Like that's, I mean, the loyalty portion, like that's obviously like that's straightforward. But I mean, dogs are pretty brave. Like I think of my two pups, and they're pretty brave. They're pretty. Don't tell me they're dumb. My wife just said they're dumb. They are kind of dumb sometimes. They like eating the side of the house, so I can't really.
Well, no one's perfect.
That's true. Yeah, no one's perfect. Yeah. now I'm getting warned or promised or threatened. I don't know. They all kind of sound like the same thing when you're married. So that was the second to last chapter. What's the last chapter?
So the last chapter, to offset this this fun, cute little previous chapter.
Don't tell me it's all dark and dreary.
Very disturbing.
Oh shit.
So
is this like full edgelord disturbing? Like, is this like?
This is a little Frankenstein disturbing.
Is this like put the kids to bed disturbing, or is this like maybe even turn away yourself disturbing?
Well, let's read it and find out.
Let's find out.
So this last one is entitled Jinx. And it goes like this. An electronic jingle intrudes on the silence deep below. A cheerful electric hum in a cathedral of bone. Thralls peer in but quickly depart, their curiosity fleeting. Jinx has no time to teach them about music. She needs to concentrate. Her acolyte deserves to be perfect. She pauses, her melodic chiming, and gives the stray phalanges one last nudge into place. No ghost needs the entire corpse to bring their partner back, but this body, the body of her partner, was a sacred canvas. It deserved all the love and consideration as the painting itself. And with every nudged phalange, the anticipation grew more beautiful. The little ghost looks at the body, dangling and impaled, its core grotesquely punctured against one of the Gothic spires the Hive so loved. She would have preferred to lay it prone, more ceremonial and appropriate for the sacred moment where life returned to dead flesh. Her guardian deserves perfection, but fate places many limitations on a tiny, handless orb, and Jinx had long ago learned to make the best of disagreeable circumstance. She scans the body once again, everything in its place. Pygmalion's got nothing on me. She taps her shell flap against the hollow cheek in what she knows will become their shared gesture of affection. Jinx bobs back, with only a moment's pause for butterflies in, well, she supposes not her stomach, but somewhere. Her shell twists and splits into an orrery of wonder, bathing her acolyte in light. That lovingly placed finger moves first, twitching and clutching, and with a horrific noise that lies somewhere between suction and screaming, the former corpse pulls herself free of the spike through her chest. "You're alive!" The acolyte lashes out ferociously with a twisted limb, knocking Jinx to the floor and condemning her with a gurgling shriek. Brittle claws scrape into the eroded grip of a battered shredder, and the acolyte presses it with desperation into her own screaming maw. With a pull of the trigger, she falls limp. Again. Jinx stares down for some time, her gaze fixated on the painstakingly reconstructed finger, now limp against the weapon's trigger. She sags, then raises her lens high with a huff. "I can keep this up as long as you can." A metal shell flap affectionately taps the stump of a neck before Jinx begins anew, her voice settling once more into a cheerful hum. "Sooner or later, you will be my best friend." And that ends that lore card.
What the fuck?
So this is a Hive that doesn't want to be resurrected.
What the fuck? How long has she been doing this of just rezzing him and him blowing his own brains out?
Oh.
What in the hell?
Apparently a while, from the sounds of it.
This is dark. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I was thinking, like you're talking about her like nudging the phalanges, putting all the little fingers, all the little bones in the exact spot, and like I was thinking like this romantic like corpse thing. Like okay, I can get on board with this. Like I like a good horror movie. Like Bungie's going a little dark lately. Like they like their horror stuff. So maybe we got this little horror like necrophilia thing going on. Like this ghost is just like in love with dead bodies or something. It's fine. It's cool. I don't judge. But no, and then this thing wakes up and is like, "Fuck you!" and just grabs the first gun it can find, sticks it in its mouth, and blows its own brains away, and just like, boom, dead. And then the ghost is like, you can keep doing this, talking to a dead body now. Like you can keep doing this. I got all eternity. You're gonna be my best friend someday.
Yeah.
What kind of morbid obsession is that?
Some of those ghosts were really desperate to find their one and only guardian, and they're not gonna let that chance slip through their fingers, I guess, or their shell.
Or their phalanges, because they don't have any. They don't have any until they fall in love with them and put them in the right place. Build it back from nothing.
Over and over again.
That's just, man, I've never thought of it like, are there humans that have done that? Are there Exo that have done that? Are there Awoken that have done that? Are there any other that have been rezzed and just been like, fuck this, and just blown their brains out. Like, nope, I'm good. And then the ghost just going, we can keep this up all day, buddy. That's America's ass. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen that exact scenario, this exact scenario play out in any of the humanities guardians. We've seen similar-ish scenarios where, like, we talked about one with the Glycon, with Gilgamesh
right.
consistently rezzing Catabases to force him into, murder-suicide,
killing.
essentially.
Now that's wow. Yeah. I mean, that granted, that's out of like a desperation of like loneliness.
Yeah, it's a little different scenario.
But we're still seeing like these ghosts have as much personality as any sentient, higher functioning sentient being would have. This is It's making me think. This is one that makes you go,
But that is the end of the Lucent Tales lore book.
Well, I learned a lot. I
Yeah.
think we went on a journey tonight.
I
don't know what that
was
journey was, and I may not sleep tonight, but yeah, we went on a journey.
Yes, we did. And we have no idea what next season is going to bring, but if
fucking nothing.
If I were to have to speculate on something, I think it would make sense that it might still involve the Hive to some degree. Usually the seasonal stories seem to be at least loosely tied to each other, over the last year. That's what we saw, at least.
Yep.
And we know that season 16's seasonal story with the Cabal and the Hive ended with us stopping the Lucent Brood from performing a ritual that would bring Savathun's throne world to Luna, to the moon. So who knows what, maybe the Lucent Hive just, back away, they withdraw and recuperate, and we get a different story for a season, or maybe they retaliate in some way or change their plans, and we're still dealing with them come tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or today, if you're listening to this after it's posted.
If you're listening to this tomorrow, today. Aha. Inception recording. No, that's not. That's not how that works. All right. Well, I'm gonna thank some things and people. First, we'll do people, because thanking things just seems weird, right? Like I can't thank my iPod. I guess I could. That'd be weird though. Thank you, iPod, for being fucking continued. God damn it, Apple. All right, I'm over it. All right. Thank you, Alpha Shepherd, for leaving at the exact perfect right time to make me just lose my mind, because I don't even remember what it was about, but I'll remember tomorrow when I listen to this. It blipped out at the exact perfect time for me to say something, and I've already forgotten what I said. Let's see. I guess thank you. Who wrote the Books of Sorrow?
I don't know who you mean like in game, or like the narrative lead at the time, or
both? Why not? Because without either one of those guys, we wouldn't have Edgelord tomorrow and Edgelord, like, Guardian or Hive, or darkness, no parrots, kind of makes it better. And Warrior, fuck yeah, coming again to send the mother day, yeah.
Those need to be made into full songs, is what they.
I'm telling you, man, the first one is like full on like darkness, fucking death metal, and then the second one is like power metal, right? Like almost on the same level as like the Kitsune theme that the guy did or the team did. I don't know who all did it. I'm absolutely in love with that theme. The whole, overflowing power Kitsune. Like that's just, I love that. That'll stay stuck in my head for eternity. So thank you, Kitsune singer and creator of Kitsune song, wherever you are.
So to answer your first question, I'm not sure if there's one author in game. I think generally Oryx wrote most of it. As far as out of game, from what I am finding, the credit for writing the Books of Sorrow goes to a Seth Dickinson. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Seth Dickinson, and yeah, you're the best. Myth, got any?
Say sadly, no new reviews or anything to read off today for a shout out. However, I do want to just use this to remind everybody, if you want to reach out, drop us a line, tell us what you like, tell us if you have a different opinion of something. Totally open to those discussions as well, as long as they're civil. You can do so via our Twitter, which is at Myths and Stories, with a Z instead of an S at the beginning of stories, same as the title of the show. Say we are typically keeping up on that, so always great to hear from people, even if it's just to say hi, and maybe you'll hear your message at the end of one of our episodes sometime.
Apparently, there's a trailer out in the wild, and we need to go watch it. So guess what? Go ahead, Myth. You're supposed to say what? You're supposed to say.
What, Zor?
From all of us lore nerds to all of you guardians out there, we'll see you after reset.